Children, when I have discussed about the oral sources of history, at that time I didn't mention Puaras, but Puaras actually it is also an example of oral source of history. What is Puaras? Puaras is a kind of ballad written in an exciting style and narrates historical events in an inspiring way. It is a source for getting information about a historical event or the work of a person. The composers cum singers of the Puaras are known as Shaheeds. Activists were inspired by the Puaras of Lakshahir Annabahu Sathe and Shahid Amar Sheikh during the Sangyupta Maharashtra movement. Children, in 8th standard also, you have come to know about the Puaras. There are various Puaras composed on freedom struggle of 1857, valor of revolutionaries during the British rule, etc. These Puaras were used to create motivation and spirit among the people. Apart from freedom movement, the Puaras were composed based on the work of Satyashodhak Samaj for awakening among the oppressed classes, the Sangyupta Maharashtra movement, and such other events. So, it is a kind of ballad written in an exciting style and narrates historical events in an inspiring way. In 7th standard, you have come to know about the Puaras written on Shivaji Maharaj. So it is a kind of ballad. Till now, we have seen some important sources for writing the history of modern India. The times in the 21st century are changing so rapidly that even these sources will prove to be inadequate. So children, still now, whatever the sources I have discussed in this topic, these sources will prove to be inadequate. And however, new sources are coming forth. For example, during the transformation from landline telephone to cell phones, we can see that now we have to depend on cell phone, we have to depend on mobile. But some years before, it was not so common among the people. At that time, we had to depend on the land phone. But from land phone to cell phone, a gadget called pager came up for contacting people. But it died out as quickly as it had come up. The huge amount of information available on the internet is used for studying history. But the truth and authenticity of this information needs to be verified. Children, as history is based on authentic proofs, that's why if we get any information from the internet, then we have to study those information, and also we have to find out the authenticity of those information, and it should be verified. Okay, so in the modern time, those sources which was discussed before, like written sources, oral sources, material sources, and sources in the audio-visual medium, they are non-adequate. Apart from these sources, the other sources from where also we can get information, and also we can come to know about our past. Now, it has become comparatively easy to study history with all these sources. So, as these sources are available to all of us, that's why now it has become very easy to us to study history with the help of these sources. As these sources are from the contemporary period, they are easily available. Children, whatever the sources you have come to know in this topic, all these sources, they are easily available for all of us. So that's why it is quite easier for all of us to come to know about the past, as well as also we can come to know about the contemporary period. Since a subject like history touches all the aspects of our lives, efforts for preservation of such sources are made at all levels. It is very important, children, because history touches all the aspects of our lives. That's why efforts for preservation of such sources are made at all levels, and also we should contribute to this effort. And also we should contribute means also we should try to preserve such sources which are very important for us if we want to know about the contemporary period or about the past. So children, in this topic you have come to know the sources of history. Whenever I have started to explain the topic, first I have told you what is history, that history is a coherent account of the significant past events in the process of human culture. The four pillars of history: time, place, individual, and society. These are the four pillars, and history is based on authentic proofs, and these proofs are known as sources of history. Also, I have discussed about the three ages of history: the ancient period, the modern period, and also the medieval period. Up to 8th century CE, it is considered as the ancient period of Indian history from Stone Age. The medieval period from 9th to 18th century, And when the Britishers they established their empire in the Indian subcontinent, and Indian Renaissance marks the beginning of modern age. So ancient, medieval and modern period you have come to know, and also I have discussed here. Then I have told you about the four type of sources: written sources, material sources, oral sources, and sources in the audio-visual medium. In the material sources of history, you have come to know newspapers, periodicals, diaries, reference book, correspondence, documents in archives, government gadgets, postal stamps, and encyclopedias. Next one, the material sources of history. Among the material sources of history, you have come to know about coins, ornaments, places of worship, museum, things in daily use, clothing, royal seal, and modern architecture. Today I have discussed about the oral sources. It includes folk tales, folk songs, proverbs, ballads, odes, and poeras. And also I have discussed the audio-visual sources of modern history, that is the television, the different channels like History Channel, Discovery Channel, and also Internet. Children, also I have discussed about the Film and Television Institute of India. The Government of India started the Film and Television Institute at Pune in 1960 with the purpose of providing public education. Then I discussed about Indian News Review. An institute called Indian News Review had produced various newsreels on important events in politics, social issues, art, sports, and culture. Then I have discussed, apart from all these sources, some other sources from where we can get information about history, like internet, like the other sources from where we can get information. And then I have discussed the authenticity of these sources should be verified, because it should be verified, and then we should accept all these sources from where we can get information about our past. So children, you should read the textbook again and again. You should practice the concept map based on written sources, material sources, oral sources, and the sources in the audio-visual medium. Children, it is very important to read the lesson, otherwise you will not able to solve the objective questions in the examination. So it is very important to read the lesson. If you have any doubt, you should listen to the audio carefully, and I think if you read the book as well as you listen to the audio carefully, you will not any problem to understand the topic.